Spend the weekend in the deep end of a diving ball.
Oh my God, we got a full house tonight. Hi, Nazis! We got a room full of Nazis. What the hell? Can you guys hear me?
We can. How's it going? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. You want to introduce our guest, Shanda? You want to unmute?
Hearing?
Of course I would be muted. Good evening. So yeah, we have an amazing show lined up. Of course, this is the Dive, Monday evening dive. And of course, we always have Miss Amber King on Monday nights. Welcome. I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. And then of course we have Fiorella Isabella from the Convo couch. You guys are killing it over there. And then new to the show to us is Mr. Jackson Hinkle, and he has the Jackson Hinkle The Dive. So he's also has a dive show too. Welcome everybody. Welcome.
Double
Thanks
D
for having us.
Monday night dive.
Yeah, it's a double D.
Double D Monday Night Dive.
Diveception.
Yeah. Let me
Play
boot.
musical chairs here.
Let me
and then
boot-
of course the man behind the curtain, Oz LaFave.
Yeah, I'm hiding back here today, and it's a pleasure to be in such great company. I want to say this is Jackson's first role over here on our Little Guppy channel, and he was nice enough to bring us some pictures from his world travels, and of course, we have the baby picture here. Jackson Hinkle as a young lad there, and did you know that Jackson has a second life out there? He's actually an actor, and he's going to be auditioning for just what's that guy's Benedict Cumberbatch's new role in The King and I. And this is some of his latest work. That's from Game of Thrones. He did a great job in that. Don't you think,
Excellent,
lady? He was
excellent.
awesome, and you know he's a lot older than he looks because he's John Cena. You know that's really Jackson, and then the professor from Back to the Future. So we're impressed with all your work there, Jackson. You want to tell us a little bit about your show and what's going on real quick, and then we'll let Fee get in here and start yelling at us for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean those were all some pretty big roles, but you know, being on this show, best one of all. So thank you all for having me.
Oh, you're so nice.
Yeah, no, I'm very stoked to be here for this conversation. But I have a YouTube show. It's also on Rockfin and Twitch. It's called The Dive with Jackson Hinkle, and I cover leftist news. You know, I try to find problems in the world and prescribe what I think would be a good solution to those respective issues. And if you're interested in that, you can always check it out. And, you know, I think one thing that probably differentiates what I do within our community for my show is not only do we point out what's wrong in the world, but hopefully try to band together as a community and actually fix what's going on. So most recently, our community banded together with the Convo couch and with a ton of other great prominent leftist voices and, you know, people like yourselves and, you know, just average Americans to fight to force the vote on Medicare for all, which we'll be talking about tonight. And yeah, I again, very stoked to be here. Thank you for having me on.
That's terrific. We really appreciate having you on. And now we have our lovely goddess of truth and honesty, Fiorella Isabella. Fee, you've had a busy day. How many times have you been on today? 4 times?
No, 2 times, but it was long.
Yeah, it was way long. It was way long. I did a cut today. You were kind of shy and bashful. We're going to play that real quick for everybody and see what they think.
No.
Me? Clutch my pearls. Clutching my pearls.
Yeah, you can see every single one about it. They just mentioned that the fact, you know, it's
And just going on this too, Pasta. You know, Cori Bush, instead of talking about the real issues that are necessary, right, for America, the economic hardships that people are facing, those health issues, her priorities are the Senate to-do list: abolish the filibuster and pass COVID-19 relief for our communities, convict Trump, legislate like Democrats control the White House, Senate, and the House of Representatives, because we do. Okay, so you want to be happy about the Democrats controlling
Why did we
everything?
put her there?
Abolish the filibuster and pass COVID relief, but not stimulus, not health care for all, right?
Right, the
And
things we put her there
convict
for.
Trump. Why the fuck do I care if you convict Trump or not? How does that help us? Our priorities should be health care, 2,000 stimulus a month with rent forgiveness, and for small businesses too, and staying the hell out of affairs and rush to the Middle East and Asia and the global south, because that's what I'm already
There you
saying.
go.
That's what they want. That should be
There
our
you
fucking
go.
priority. If I were in Congress, that would be my fucking priority.
That's
And
a
I
great
wouldn't give
priority
shit
list.
If I was standing by myself. I wouldn't care. Why do they have to participate to be part of this club? Then what's the point of electing them if they're going to do this? And then you get mad when people point it out and they get angry. It's like, because I expect better from her.
Yeah.
I don't expect the same bullshit from her as I expect from a liberal. I don't expect the same bullshit from her as I expect from a Republican. She's supposed to be different, and she's not. And so what does this mean? That every single time we get duped into supporting progressives who turn around and act as an extension of the neoliberal establishment, which again keeps us completely from having any weapons to actually fight the oligarchy. Do you not see this cycle over and over again? So don't ask me, or don't be pissed off as to why I'm so mad at her and not at Jimmy Dore, because she is the one that is legislating. She is the one in Congress.
Yeah, yep.
Amen, Sis Steffi.
Yeehaw! Did you have to have oxygen during that at any point in time? Wow. You want to expand on that with a little bit? I know I covered a long clip, but you just didn't take a breath, and I couldn't cut it.
Beautiful rant. Beautiful rant.
Well, I am done with the Democratic Party, in case you guys didn't know. And I have friends who do local work, try to get things done in the city council at a very local level, and I'm not necessarily against that. They have managed to do great things. But I just, every single time we band ourselves together behind, whether it's AOC, Ilhan Omar, and I really love Nina Turner. I think she's awesome, but I already see her backing away. I already see her kind of trying to play ball. And so it's really difficult for me to have faith in a system when we don't have fair and free elections. You can argue with me on that. But really you can't. I mean, if you want to talk about Bernie's primary, from that moment that happened, you like it like everything after the fact is moot. Right? Like, we shouldn't have the guy that was in 5th place be president right now. So yeah, I'm angry about that. And I'm also angry about the fact that we are supposed to be opposition to the Democratic Party, but we're so hyper focused on opposing only Republicans, when the Republicans aren't the ones that decided that they could rig the DNC primary. The Republicans weren't the ones that had the ability to put Medicare for all to get a floor vote for it. And we ended up getting 2 impeachment votes before we got a single Medicare for all vote. And that's disgusting, because AOC said she was going to go fight for us. And I don't see her fighting for us. I see her fighting to maintain her positions. And then she might as well be a neoliberal at that point. I'm not saying she's Nancy Pelosi, but by all means, like, she isn't really differentiating herself between those establishment old dinos if she's not actually going to use her power. Like, there's no demand from her power, and they have every capacity. Don't tell me that they don't have the capacity. They have a following, especially AOC. They could literally announce a Medicare for all sit-in at the Capitol, a peaceful, nonviolent, let's say nonviolent sit-in, where we would all sit until we got Medicare for all. She could literally organize that. She doesn't.
It's like you said this morning, they're all neocons to me. I was just like, I was jumping up and down when you said that, because that's how I feel about it too. We spent years now, 3-4 years getting behind these progressive candidates and giving them our all, giving them our money, flying across the country to campaign for them, running their campaigns, phone banking, money on printing presses. I mean, I've held town halls, and, just to see them not actually represent us when they get there, I see myself wasting all this time for the last 3 fucking years. So now I'm pivoting away from these, because I can't trust any politician to go there and do what they say they're going to do. It's going to be upon the people. Jackson, what do you think?
The way I see it is these people are going to lose their grassroots base of supporters one by one. And it's already happening. I mean, Fee, you guys at the Convo couch, Nico, you were Richie Medhurst. You were some of the first people that were starting to be like, AOC, why are you deferring to party leadership on Venezuela? AOC, why are you not speaking out against what's happening in Bolivia? You know, like all those sorts of things, right? And I was kind of watching and seeing what was going down and keeping a close eye on it. I think a lot of people were observant what was happening, but maybe weren't writing them off yet. And then next thing, you know, on top of all of that stuff, her answer surrounding Israel and Palestine.
Right.
There's many things that I've listed on my own Twitter about things that she has done that have kind of shown that she's really not even a leftist, let alone a socialist, as she likes to call herself sometimes. But you know, sooner or later, if they don't force the vote on Medicare for all in February when they reintroduce the legislation, if they don't force the vote on these policies in 2022 when there's a new House speakership election, like they're not going to have any supporters left. They're just not. They're not. Or if they do, it's going to be a bunch of K-Hive supporters that are going to be making their way over to AOC's merch page to buy her T-shirts and her hats. So, I mean, it's sad to see because I'm seeing so many friends who really believed in something with AOC or with Bernie and people like this, and have been consistently let down in major ways. Right.
So, they all turn into reality TV progressives at the end of the day. And Amber, what do you think?
Well, I'm still waiting to see the pit of children over lava that has been holding people from having a backbone for fucking years. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. I spent over 30 hours last week in the Medicare for All Strategy Conference listening to things, and I can tell you they're going for incrementalism. And we all told them no every single time. Vehemently oppose this. Do not go with this strategy. This is not what the people want. We are number 54 on the list of nations. We are last. We are the only industrialized nation that has healthcare tied to employment. We have the most expensive system in the world and the least productive methods. If we had Canadian system, 100,000 Americans would be alive right now. So this is not about a virus. This is about 40 years of failed healthcare, and I keep saying that, and people keep ignoring it.
But the ACA.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd like to introduce you to the AMA.
Cross.
Who's been fucking you for years. I'm fed up with it. We deserve better. Our kids deserve better, and I know I'm not stopping. You know, and I will even fight for this broken system. How traumatizing and broken it is. I will keep fighting for it because I think as a people in our hearts that we can do better, and we just don't have the willpower to be a hero for people, and that's their problem. And I can, you know, listening to Pramila the other day, I can tell you she's not going to push for it. It makes me absolutely furious.
I know.
I'm 2 blocks from her district. I'm furious. I've met with her multiple times, and I will not let her. You know, this is not going anywhere. We are right here.
No, I don't forget. And I'm definitely trolling now. Like, I gave you 5 years on the ground of supporting you. No, you're going to hear what we have to say. Hey, Oz,
and you're going to hear our wrath tue, you know?
Right.
Yeah, we want to highlight, I stole this off of Jackson. We're going to play this real quick, and then we're going to talk about force the vote and a little bit of that unmasking.
That video with Brianna and Sam Sita, that was an interesting one. That was hilarious, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed making that video. And also, I actually just put out a video that is pertinent to today's discussion. So before I bring on our guests, I want to show you this video that I just put out. Let's see here. I'll just share my screen. So this video right here, on the far left, Biden freezes Trump rule that lowered insulin prices. Go check it out after the stream. I think, I put out so many videos, and I don't do a video unless I'm like feel excited about the story or think it's a story that should be heard by people. That video, I think, is one of the most important videos I've ever done, specifically because like no one's talking about the fact that Biden literally just froze a plan or a policy that Trump had put into place that lowered insulin prices. and epinephrine prices, which I don't know what that is, but it's some sort of like an allergy
saves
medication.
lives, yeah.
We all know Biden's doing absolute fuck shit in the White House already. So yeah. Oh, that's the EpiPen. Okay, that's just like a long way of saying EpiPen. That's even more fucked up. Okay.
Yeah, pretty fucked up. Thanks, Jackson. You're right on target, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who invented insulin didn't even file a patent on it because he wanted it to be free for people.
Yep.
That's how fucked up this is.
But my partner had to have a double bypass and 2 stents put in a year ago at the age of 43 because he couldn't afford his insulin for 10 years. And that's what it does. It damages your body when you go without. I mean, I thought he had the flu, and next thing I know, he's in the hospital for almost a month having, double bypass. And so people don't realize that's just skipping a few doses or going, I mean, the EpiPen, that's anaphylactic shock. That's when you eat something or take something that reacts to your body. That's what saves your life. Without it, you're dead. You're dead instantly.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people, if you don't have anyone in your family who has to take insulin, like, you don't know, but it's like rationing insulin and the health complications as a result of doing that are absolutely crazy. And it's actually one of the most painful ways that you can die.
It's deadly. It's very and yes, very painful. Very painful.
Yeah. And I before I did that video, I was watching the old Bernie Sanders campaign ads when they took a group of people just a few miles across the border to Canada, purchased $10,000 worth of United States, what would be $10,000 in the United States worth of insulin and EpiPens, and got it for $1,000 in Canada. And just hearing the testimonies of these people, I was sitting in my kitchen, I was just crying because
Right.
it is so heavy.
It's heart-wrenching.
And
It's
people
heart-wrenching.
are just silent about it.
Yep. But yet AOC wants to talk about how they can force the vote for impeachment, which was delivered to the Senate tonight, from what I understand. And we're going to start February 6th or February 8th. February 8th, I think, is when they're going to kick off impeachment. But there's nobody talking about Medicare for all during a pandemic. Nobody.
Yeah.
I just want to issue a quick apology to our fans in Rockfin. Apparently, our audio is not working.
Oh, no.
If our man behind the curtain can take a look at that.
That is Rockfin's issue. It is not
Okay.
our issue. I am so sorry.
We'll
But
drop some more links so you can find us.
I will reload this
We'll
off the
reload
main
it, yeah.
file. I apologize. It's too bad that's not working. Anyway, before we let Fee tear up the world again here, which we love when she does,
Hey,
we're going to
Rockfin.
run this video real quick on Force the Vote and see what this is. You put this in.
I want to say thank you again to AOC for, again, endorsing my idea of hashtag force the vote, except she's doing it unwittingly, although a lot of people don't think she's doing it unwittingly. And here she is. She did it again. She went on Chris Cuomo yesterday, and let's just listen to what she says. Here's what she has to say.
To really think about what they are doing in trying to protect Donald Trump, because if there's one thing that they should know is that for all the amount that they will try to protect him, he will do little to nothing to protect
That's
them,
always been the way.
unless it is directly in
It's
his
never
interest.
been loyalty. It's
So now just all you have to do is switch the word Joe Biden with Donald Trump. Just switch Joe Biden in that. Let's listen.
To really think about what they are doing in trying to protect
Joe
Donald Trump.
Biden.
Because if there's one thing that they should know is that for
Joe
all the
Biden.
amount that they will try to protect him, he will do little to nothing to protect
that's
them.
all.
So I just want to remind everybody who's lefty, who's defending Joe Biden, he will do little to nothing to defend you. Okay, but she's talking about Donald Trump and why they should have an impeachment vote and why they should do it. Here's what she's talking about.
Been the way.
Unless it is directly in
It's
his
never
interest.
been loyalty. It's always been fealty. But now the state
That's
of play,
right.
you hold the power in your hand.
I like how they pretend that's just the one party doing that. That's just one politician that gives fealty to people. That's just one politician. That's politics. That's why we're in the state we're in, because both sides of the aisle do exactly what they just claimed only one politician is doing. Pay fealty. Okay, here we go.
Now, collectively, how much of a delay is okay with you?
They're talking about delay on impeachment.
Well, I think that the moment we get to a point where we are delaying, where we are almost delay is coming from us, and where that delay is really starting to get in the way of justice, then we need to really start figuring out what in fact is going on.
So when there's a delay in legislation, that delay actually is a delay in justice. So we can't have a delay in justice. We can have a delay in healthcare for forever, but we can't have a delay in justice, meaning impeaching Donald Trump was already out of office. This is what's of supreme importance to her.
However, hey, if they want to delay it, let's bring up a vote to expel Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley from the Senate.
You think they
Because
should
if
be
we've
out?
got time on our hands, then we should be actually bringing justice to the members of Congress and the members of the Senate who also help support this insurrection.
You think they should be out?
Let's not. They absolutely. If they don't resign, they should be expelled.
Zero
from the
chance
Senate.
they resign.
Represent-
Nobody resigns.
What the hell? People are dying.
I knew that would piss you off. That's why I brought it.
All right. Fiorella, what's wrong? What's wrong with that picture?
I'm so sorry. I'm laughing because I just can't. I can't with her. Like it's such a disappointment. I mean, for somebody who helped organize a fundraiser for her, for somebody who was really excited about her candidacy, she's literally pretty much a centrist neoliberal, and it's really sad to see. She's using the same arguments as Jimmy pointed out ad nauseum that she used, like against force the vote for impeachment. And not only that, she is weaponizing fear in the American people against Congress people. I'm not saying that some of these people weren't awful and that some of these people aren't white nationalists, but I was there, and like I said, it was not like the vast majority of what happened wasn't even in focus. It was just those moments. And like when I laughed at her saying that she feared for her life, I wasn't laughing because I want her to be hurt in any way, because I don't. Oh. I was laughing because she is an actress, and I don't buy her act, because she is literally over there talking about justice and isn't giving the American people. As a progressive, I put more of trust in her to fight for the issue she freaking ran on, the issue she fucking wears a mask over that says Medicare for all. Right, it's not going to do us any favors if you're wearing a mask, but you're really not pushing any legislation. Then you turn around and use the same excuses to push impeachment. This time you're shifting your narrative though, and you're like the goalposts are moving now, because now this is about political capital. It's about making sure these Republicans pay so people continue donating to the Democratic Party, and on we go. And that's why it's enraging to me. I get
Jackson,
it.
Amber.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It's this narrative that not just her either, like virtually the entire Congressional Progressive Caucus espouses, that this is the violence that we should be focusing on as a country in the middle of a pandemic, when already, I mean, before we went into this pandemic, 186 people are dying every single day in this country due to a lack of access to basic health insurance. Now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and we still don't have health insurance, not to mention all of the illegal imperialist for-profit wars all across the globe. And of all the things that you could spend your very, very precious time on in the halls of Congress, you choose to focus on that. It's just, I don't even have the capacity to respond to it or to react to it, because it's so infuriating and enraging.
Yeah, have you heard her calls to for the deprogramming of all of the Trump supporters? I mean, come on, what authoritarian crap is this? And now she wants to eject all the Republicans that she feels threatened by out. I mean, come on.
Which is all of them.
Which is all of them.
And half the Democrats.
Sent her there for.
If Jimmy Dore was in Congress, she'd be like, yeah, I think we should get rid of him too. Like he's definitely threatening also.
Yeah, he is. He's threatening. What is this, Oz?
Ron Placone. Didn't you put this up? This is.
I did. Yeah, this is Whole Washington. If you haven't heard of Whole Washington, it is a push in Washington state for statewide universal health. And we've been on this fight for many years. And Ron Placone wrote a wonderful song for them. It might be a little quiet, though. You might want to turn it up, Oz.
Okay. You're the boss.
Thanks, Ron.
Don't know if you heard, but we need healthcare for all. And some folks up in Washington ain't dropping the ball. They're fighting for the many, even though they're the few. And they're gonna bring single-payer healthcare to you. The whole Washington, whole Washington, whole Washington, whole Washington. They're fighting for the country and they're fighting for the state, cause the fact that we don't have healthcare is a total disgrace. They're not gonna stop until they win. And Eileen, if you're not on board, I think that's a sin. Oh, Washington, oh, Washington, oh, Washington, oh, Washington, right now. Single payer now, single payer meow. Single payer now.
Thank you, Ron. Way to go.
You know, I think we should go ask Skerrick if he can give us some like background sax, and it would be very violent.
Oh yeah, it is very, very violent.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about 5204, the bill we have?
Yeah,
in Washington?
Certainly. Right now, we've got 7 sponsors in the Senate, and we are pushing very hard on our Health Committee to bring it forward for a committee hearing. We know that is unlikely, so we are preparing a citizens initiative right behind it. Our Health Committee here in Washington State, as you can imagine, is stacked with people who take large amounts of money from the industrial war complex, as well as big pharma and healthcare, huge healthcare ties. Yeah. So it's very unlikely. They only push anything forward that profits insurance and big pharma and private hospitals.
The committee chair she's pretty hand in hand with a lot of these big medical companies, right?
That would be Annette Cleveland, correct?
Annette Cleveland.
Annette Cleveland.
And Eileen Cody.
And Eileen Cody, those two, Washington State. Now, this directly has an effect on other states, if not the country, getting health care, because if we can push this in our individual states, the other states are going to say, hey, we want that. And that is where the big push is. Now, Fee, you had something similar going on in California. Didn't your Anthony Rendon put that in the dirt nap or what?
Yeah, so as Jackson would also know, SB 562 was crushed by all of the California Democratic Party, particularly Anthony Rendon. He was opposed by Maria Estrada Herrán. She has claimed nefarious election practices in her area as well, which is a highly Latino area, poor working class. And it really sucks because people are saying that the new the person that's going to take over for Alex Padilla, Javier, I think I forget his name. Do you remember who it is? So Alex Padilla is now going to be a senator. So the person who's taking over, they're saying this guy's a Medicare for all advocate, and I think his name is Javier Becerra.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's it.
And he's not. He's establishment as hell. So, but if people think, if he has said that, it'd be great to hold him to his word. And like, I know people are working on that here, but it's really, I really do think, unfortunately, projects and movements like Whole Washington and any push in Medicare for all in California are going to be the way to at least cause pressure, because I know what Wisconsin is doing it too. And they're meeting with a lot of opposition. Because, I mean, if we can't get our Congress people to do it in a pandemic, honestly, when is it going to happen, right?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And with what goes with Whole Washington are the Red Berets, and I know Fiorella has a Red Beret too. We need to get Jackson. We need to get you a Red Beret, buddy.
Yeah, you need Red Beret.
Yeah.
I'll happily wear one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And along those lines, go figure. Biden bows to pressure and says he's willing to negotiate on the $1,400 COVID stimulus check. This just came out about an hour and a half ago, I think. Are we surprised?
Not one bit.
No, I'm not surprised either at all. I mean, it was like first it's going to come 2,000 right out of the gates. And then they were like, yeah, you might get them in March, but they're going to be 1,400. And then it was, well, just kidding. Actually, we think April would probably be better. We'll let a few thousand more people die than maybe April. And then now this, I'm just...
What happened to push him left? What happened to hold his feet to the fire? I thought progressives were going to do that. Now they're making excuses, a lot of them, saying, well, he didn't mean 2,000. He meant 1,400 plus 600. Okay, glad you can do math, but that's not what he said.
Right.
And he didn't. Oh, he didn't. Like, give him a chance. We're going to be told the same thing we've been told every single time is give him a chance. He just got in there. Look what Trump did. He inherited this problem. Blah, 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 blah. And they're going to make all these excuses because the point was you demand what you need as a people before he gets in there, not after, because after you have no leverage, and they didn't use their leverage. And so now we have a bunch of Americans that are losing everything. They're losing their jobs, their homes. Gavin Newsom wants to reopen again here in California, which is, I mean, fine, but a lot of people are sick now more than they were before.
Right.
And people do want to reopen because their businesses are going under. They're like losing everything they have. And so, yeah, they're going to want to reopen. So obviously we should have had a social safety net to provide for people. And they didn't. Gavin Newsom refused to even give the extra $100 that Trump was saying he had to give and for unemployment benefits. And he's been a disaster, and he's pushing away people who were normally Democrats into the right because of how he's treated the small business sector, especially in Los Angeles.
Well, and that's all it is it's turning into the neocon party. It's just the one freaking massive uniparty of the neocons. And yeah, we knew they were going to roll this back and everything else. I mean, and all of these executive orders that are supposed to look good, we know every one of them's backhanded in one way or another.
Yeah,
every time.
Absolutely. I mean, Fee, Jackson, does it look like the Democrats are on course to get slaughtered in 22?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. This is there's so much historic precedent for a group of one party or another getting into office, having a majority, and then doing absolutely nothing, and then getting crushed in the next election cycle. Like, I don't understand. I mean, there's going to be so many people that are going to be so surprised by this. Like, really? We just got rid of Trump and the majority of Americans voted in Republicans? How did that happen?
Yeah, they'll be shocked. Exactly.
I have a prediction, and I'm the resident conspiracy theorist, so I'll just own this now. But we're really not paying attention as to what they're trying to do. And that is, it's the pay for success. They know they have 4 years to lock our asses down.
Right. And they're going to lock us down. I mean, it's
social
coming.
Impact bonds are the new venture capital. Like, they've had this in writing, pushed by hedge funds and think tanks for 6 years. For 6 fucking years. This is not new. This has been planned. It's been studied, and they know exactly how to squeeze every living drop of life out of us. So they know they have 4 years, and they don't give a shit about the next round of elections. We're all going to be gamified in human bond markets. You know, they're taking unemployment in Colorado and tying it to social impact bonds and blockchain. They're doing that in 20 states right now. They're forcing the closure of schools, which has also been pushed, Chromebooks in every household. They've been planning on this for years. This is not something they just magically oh no, we have a virus, what do we do? They've been banking on this for years.
Oh, but Biden says that there's nothing significant that they can do, so it's not going to really change in the first 6 months is pretty much what he said today. Trump left it so bad on us, and there isn't much we can do.
Because nothing will fundamentally change.
Nothing.
No, he's exactly part of the plan that was part, to me, it's the whole reason Trump even got into office in the first place, was to instill this hatred, this TDS. Asleep now, because everything's going to be magically fucking better. But it's not. We're still dying because they're still not doing things that they should have. And Jimmy's right. We're in a failed fucking state.
We're watching a failed state. We're living in a failed state. And yes, TDS, they wouldn't have won this last election without TDS. Those few seats that they managed to flip was because they lied to the public and scared the shit out of them,
Absolutely. Can I show my beret here? Now, Jackson, this is a beret. We all wear this proudly for whole Washington. So we're going to make sure we get you one, buddy. And I want to segue what you guys are talking about, getting slaughtered in the next round. This is where you watch, Fee. they're going to start bitching about election rigging in the next round when they give it back to the Republicans. They're going to be hypocrites about this shit. And what you guys focused today on one of your programs, you were talking about talking to the other side. We had better goddamn well start talking to the other side and exposing what's bullshit in the mass media to what actually is happening, and I want to commend the Convo Couch and Jimmy for covering that. So again, I'm with you 150% on all of this. Did you want to wrap this up, Fee, with your comments?
Yeah. So, by talking to the other side, I don't mean aligning with Nazis or white supremacists. I don't know why that has to be said, but apparently it has to be said because apparently interviewing somebody that is a self-described libertarian, and basically that's what I asked him. We asked him about Medicare for All. We asked him, basically a libertarian, is not platforming a Nazi. Now, I know the Boogaloo Boys have a very controversial, like view about them. Covering the protests, going to Portland, Seattle, going all over the country, I also noticed literally straight up BLM people saying, "Oh, the Boogaloo Boys aren't that bad. They help us out." Like they've said that before. So that correlates to what he's saying now. Are all of them like that? No. Like nobody's a monolith. I think we have to get away from thinking that unless you're an actual Nazi group where you all have to swear by blood that you hate everybody else that's not you, then yeah. But the vast majority of organizations, whether it's BLM, whether it's Antifa, whether it's the right or the left, they're not a monolith. And so we have to stop thinking about things in terms of a duality, like, oh, it's red or brown, or it's blue and red, it's black and white. Like, no, there's a lot of discussions that we can have with people who may be libertarian. I know because people have been commenting to us that, oh, I used to be a Trump supporter, but now that I see Bernie got cheated, now I see when I should have paid attention when Bernie got cheated, but now I think Trump was cheated. So maybe I should like pay more attention to elections. Or they'll say like, I used to be a Trump supporter, but now, he let us down. He didn't drain the swamp. He didn't do what he said he was going to do. So I'm politically homeless. What should I do? You know what I mean? And like when you have those conversations with people, you introduce a conservative audience to leftist ideas. This is why I don't think it's a problem when Jimmy Dore goes on Tucker Carlson or Jimmy Dore or anybody, whether it's Glenn Greenwald or anybody, the Gray Zone, anybody goes on any conservative platform, because it's not like they're changing their ideology. They're not saying, oh yes, now I'm a fascist, anti-immigrant imperialist. They're literally advocating leftist policies to a conservative audience that's like, oh, wait a minute, he doesn't sound like the neoliberal that Hillary Clinton was. Hey, I'll listen to that. And we have seen this happens time and time again. So by working with the working class, it includes people you may not align 100% with. And that's anybody, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, an independent, a libertarian. That doesn't mean that I'm telling people to align with people who want to kill Black people. I would never say that as an immigrant with vulnerable family members. I would it's ridiculous, like the level of like childish, like hyperbolic, like pearl clutching, like, oh my God, we're never aligning with Nazis. Oh my God, I can't believe all these leftists are. Who is aligning with Nazis? Nobody's asking you to do that.
No, they've been slaughtering you guys. The minority who have been unmasked through force the vote, they are grasping at everything to trash you guys when they're the ones that should be supporting force the vote, Medicare for all, but they're not. I called them, and I think you caught that from me the other day, Fee. They're opportunity journalists, and I say journalists lightly because they're picking and choosing so they can build a career on the misery and misfortune of the public. They're trolls, and many of them are being paid by Comcast and MSNBS and the rest of those scumbags. And I tell you, so they're piling on you and Jimmy and everybody else for reaching out and actually talking to people when you have the likes of Ellen DeGeneres having George Bush on her show in the mass media. I mean, they have war criminals on, and that person over at TYT, that Anna person, she's having an interview with, what did Jimmy say?
Madeline
Albright. And Jimmy's saying, giving her a tongue bath. I think he nailed it on that. So don't be coming at people who are actually trying to talk to people on the other side of the issue, to build coalitions on Medicare for all, on getting out of these goddamn wars, on unifying, actually, because like you and Pasta and Jackson all have said, that once we get together and unite, we will crush those fuckers. But we have to start talking to each other or we're in trouble. So that's my diatribe. That's my fee says.
I'd like to take this moment on the heels of Oz, the great and powerful behind the curtain, to invite Henry Kissinger on my show. Since we're talking about reaching across the aisle, here is your opportunity. Come on over. Let's have a conversation.
You think he hears it in the nursing home?
Oh, I'm sure he's got, some
Yeah,
hardware.
he's in a private residence. Yeah, he's in a gated community. You're right.
I've already
did you know
invited.
he's the oldest surviving member of the Bilderberg Group?
Yeah, I did know that. Who'd you invite?
Of course
Who
you
did
did.
you invite on?
I invited on Donald Rumsfeld. I thought that'd be.
Yeah, I heard that was great,
good
man.
one.
That was a great one.
And I'll also say, just like adding into this conversation, I found it so hilarious that all the same people who were, posting big long things like posts on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like rest in peace to the GOAT, Larry King, like rest in peace, Larry King. Those were the same exact people that 24 hours later were criticizing Jimmy and Fee for bringing on a member of the Boogaloo Boys or whatever. And it's like, do you not know who Larry King was? Do you not know this man's history? You're praising him, and then you're going out and
not putting it out
people
there,
who are doing
though.
the same exact thing the next day. It's insane.
CNN's honoring him, but up until when he quit working for them in 2010. RT just did a really good watching the Hawks, and Rick Sanchez really lays it out there, all the years he worked with him, and how Larry King was a storyteller. He was a true journalist because he asked questions that the audience would want to know. And that's what makes what you guys are doing so incredible, because you're asking the questions for the everyday people. That's all we are. We're just people on the street asking the questions, that we want to know. And I commend you guys for that. Yeah, Larry King's a loss for sure.
What do you got behind
and I
it?
just wanna
Go ahead.
I just want to say real quick that, when you talk to people impoverished and people who've lived lives of poverty, it doesn't matter what side you're on. We have common grounds.
Exactly.
So no matter what they want to try and spin, because that divide has become so deep, it doesn't matter. And they are outnumbered. They just have all the marbles in the cage.
They are.
Yeah.
So I have one more clip on the deck, Oz.
You got
one more segment.
You got this old Zoom. This was its infancy, right? That was when Zoom started. Yeah.
How did they have Zoom in the 70s?
I don't know how they did that. So I don't know.
Really cheap subscription.
Yeah, that's good.
38 cents a month.
What are we looking at here? Rand Paul, is he?
Okay, so call me a Trump supporting, whatever, because I'm watching Rod Paul, but he actually lays some truth on Stephanopoulos, and it's kind of sad to watch because he calls them out for truly what they are.
Well, what I would say is that the debate over whether or not there was fraud should occur. We never had any presentation in court where we actually looked at the evidence. Most of the cases were thrown out for lack of standing, which is a procedural way of not actually hearing the question. There were several states in which the law was changed by the Secretary of State and not the state legislature. To me, those are clearly unconstitutional, and I think there's still a chance that those actually do finally work their way up to the Supreme Court. Courts traditionally and historically don't like to hear election questions. But yes, were there people who voted twice? Were there dead people who voted? Were there illegal aliens who voted? Yes, and we should get to the bottom of it. I'll give you an example. In my state, when we had a Democrat Secretary of State, she refused, even under federal order, to purge the rolls of illegal voters. We got a Republican Secretary of State, and he purged the rolls.
But, Senator
it does
Paul,
make a difference, and those things
I have to
to
stop
occur.
you there. No election is perfect, but there were 86 challenges filed by President Trump and his allies in court. All were dismissed. Every state certified the results after investigations, counts, and recounts. The Department of Justice, led by William Barr, said there's no widespread evidence of fraud. Can't you just say the words, this election was not stolen?
What I would suggest is what I would suggest is that if we want greater confidence in our elections, and 75% of Republicans agree with me, is that we do need to look at election integrity, and we do need to see if we can restore confidence in the elections.
Well, 75% of Republicans agree with you because they were fed a big lie by President Trump and his supporters who say the election was stolen. Why can't you say,
well, I think where
President Biden won a legitimate and fair election?
Hey, George, where you make a mistake is that people coming from the liberal side like you immediately say everything's a lie instead of saying there are two sides to everything. Historically, what would happen is if I said that I thought there was fraud, you would interview someone else who said there wasn't. But now you insert yourself in the middle and say the absolute fact is that everything I'm saying is a lie.
Well, because, Senator, I said what the president said was a lie because he said, hold on a second. He said the election was stolen. This election was not stolen. The results were certified in every single state after counts and recounts.
You're saying that absolutely you're saying there was no fraud and it's all been investigated. That's just not true.
It's not what I said, sir. I said the Department of Justice found no evidence. Let me finish my point.
You
said something that was not true.
You say we're all liars. You're just simply saying we're all liars. And
I said it was a lie that the election was stolen.
Premise that you're right and we're wrong. Well, let's talk about the specifics of it. In Wisconsin, tens of thousands of absentee votes had only the name on them and no address. Historically, those were thrown out. This time they weren't. They made special accommodations because they said, oh, it's a pandemic, and people forgot what their address was. So they changed the law after the fact. That is wrong. That's unconstitutional. And I plan on spending the next 2 years going around state to state and fixing these problems. And I won't be cowed by liberals in the media who say, there's no evidence here and you're a liar if you talk about election fraud. No, let's have an open debate. It's a free country.
I think they should talk to you, Fee.
I mean, there's just so much to unwrap with that. Like, the right loses arguments when they make this about illegal immigrants.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't know how many times Pasta and myself always say that. Like, the moment you bring in the ghost of Hugo Chavez, China,
people voting,
Venezuela, illegal immigrants, like that, you lose the left with that. It makes my job 10,000 times harder. The moment you use voter fraud instead of election fraud, you lose people because you need to know what these terms are. And like, you know, I hated when he said that about immigrants. But when he actually is right, is that we do need election integrity, and we don't need it now just because Trump lost. We've been needing it. Bernie Sanders would be president if we had a fair system. It's not just the voter suppression, which we've documented with the provisional ballots, with the faulty machines, and you know, the throwing out of ballots. It's the fact that there's no trust in our election system. We don't have access to the data. We can't look inside it. And, you know, you put William Barr as being one of these guys that's going to be the arbiter of justice when we know who he is. When you know that the elections are controlled, the general election is controlled by the Secretary of State. So the Secretary of State, for instance, here was Alex Padilla. He was fundraising for Hillary Clinton while he was being the Secretary of State. Clear conflict of interest, but I guess it didn't matter. And so he was in charge of our elections. We had so many issues. Pasta and I were talking about this like a year and a half before it happened, and we knew it was going to happen again. Nobody cares about election integrity. Exactly. It's an issue that's an American issue. It's not an issue that should be a Republican right-wing issue or a Democrat issue. It's like everybody's issue. You should have the confidence that you go in there and your vote counts. So whether you believe the election was stolen or not, that's up for debate. But at the very least, you need to know we don't have transparency in our elections. And if 75 million Americans, or 3/4 of that, believe that the election wasn't fair, what are you going to do with those people once you start losing them? You can't just pretend that they don't exist and put them on an island. There's got to be a sort of way to get people to trust. This is why people don't vote, especially a lot of young people. They tell me straight up, I don't vote because it doesn't matter anyway. Who cares? And that apathy is why we also end up having the failed state that we're in, right?
Yeah, that's not.
Well, I'd actually
go ahead.
disagree and say that it's an international problem because the amount of influence that we wield across the globe and use the standards we don't even hold to ourselves to go invade other countries.
Yeah. Good point.
Like, we didn't even hold ourselves to half of that standard during the primary. It was so blatantly obvious in states like New Hampshire, and watching exit poll numbers, we would have fucking invaded and bombed them.
Yeah.
Right.
If that would have been Venezuela.
Right,
And
but the
look at us, we're
mainstream
just like,
narrative now
whatever
is
party.
right, but the Dems and mainstream media wants you to shut up and not talk about it.
It
Right?
wants
It's
what it
basically
wants.
what George is saying. Like, you're a liar. These
But
are my
Russia
facts.
Russia hacked
Right,
our
right.
elections. And we talked about it for 5 years. And now all of a sudden our elections are perfect. And now we want to help Russia spread democracy. I mean, this is like
Yeah.
It's hypocrisy at its worst.
Yeah, it's not California centric either, because who was that idiot we had in King County? Fiorella, you probably know who that
Dean
was.
Logan.
Dean Logan,
He had
Oh yeah.
accusations of fraud in King County. And he literally moved here and he's in charge. I mean, it's a joke. We live in a cartoon.
It is a joke. We do live in a cartoon. It is.
Yeah.
They're all interconnected. They all work for the DNC in some way. Yeah.
They just cycle through. I mean, our state chair at the moment is the Western States chair.
Yep.
And completely Microsoft trained, wielding power in horrible ways, completely unethical, and destroying any of our power. And what kind of organizing power we have here in Washington State. And our elected representation is shit. And then we write these beautiful state platforms, and they're like, oh, well, that's really big. Like, we can't actually hold them to that information. We can't actually tell them, what the people want, who are doing this work, who you expect to be on the ground passing out your goddamn flyers. It's ridiculous.
Oh, they hate the grassroots.
Fee?
You said that these people would like to send a lot of these defectors off to an island or something like that. And fortunately, I think they or unfortunately for us, I think they will probably do that. And they actually have an island now that they could do that at. George Stephanopoulos is great friends or was great friends with Jeffrey Epstein. So
of course
he's got an island he could send everyone to. It worked out beautifully for them.
That was a different island, yeah.
But no, for real, it's like to just add on to this conversation, like the thing that drives me insane the most is the fact that when regardless of who wins an election, you're always going to have people who say there was fraud or there was discrepancies or whatnot. But at the end of the day, if these people aren't doing what people like Tulsi Gabbard were doing in Congress and fighting to actually improve our election systems and get paper ballots and to fight for election integrity, in my eyes, you have no justification to criticize when things go wrong in your eyes. Right. So that's the most frustrating thing for me is like, where were all of you when we needed you to pass these election integrity reform bills?
Right, exactly.
So
not on the table.
So Fee and Jackson, would you agree with this statement? Election integrity starts with a primary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've had JD or JC over there saying, "Oh, I just want to talk about the primary." Well, that has a direct effect on the rigging the general election. If you put fifth place and no place in the general, that's an absolute was stunning when I heard that come out of his pie hole. So so we can't even take care of that, and it's all a big club. Shanda, do we have another clip here? Or are we moving?
No, go ahead and just move on to the Whitey Award.
The Wipey Award. Wipey Award today goes to Shanda. You brought this.
Christine Uring. She says Kamala is not a win for women. She was polling at virtually zero, and a man swooped in and picked her up because of her gender and skin color, not her abilities. A woman who wins on her own and for her own abilities and experience is a win for women. This is not that.
Ding 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 ding, Wipey Award, and we put this in here for Jimmy Dore, right?
Yeah, I bet Jimmy did this.
Yeah, so Jimmy's getting blamed for everything, and I think him and the crew over there, Steph, have more guts, just like our sister and brothers at Convo Couch and Jackson and everybody that went out there and forced the vote. So we commend you. We have your backs, and that's just the way we roll here. This is Fee Says. Your turn, Fee.
Fee Says.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
I do want you to read it.
Well, it's kind of far from me.
Okay, I'll get it for you.
Even
Okay.
with glasses.
Fee says so. Every day when we have a dive, we close the show with Fee says, and today Fee says, people clutching their pearls at the Jimmy interview of the Boogaloo Man. Y'all voted for Biden as segregist and an author of the 1994 crime bill. Try not to faint from hypocrisy.
That's Fee says, knocks it out of the park again. You want to expand on that a little bit, Fee?
I mean, like I said, the pearl clutching and the oh my God, Jimmy Dore is a what is it? Red Browning. It's all over the internet. Red Browning. Somebody made a graphic of me, Jimmy, Nico, like a bunch of people. Like it's just crazy. Oh, like look, they're inviting Nazis, and it's ridiculous to say that by talking to a libertarian, I'm inviting a Nazi. Like, even if this person's organization isn't a perfect organization, the person, I was talking to him as an individual to try to also get information about him and the organization as a whole. I'm actually going to continue talking to people who worked with the Boogaloo Boys, who have the same perspective or who may not have the same perspective. And I want to continue talking about it because that's what I care about. Like to be so hypocritical of all these people who voted for Mr. 1994 crime bill Joe Biden and had zero problem with warmongers and have zero problem with what the appointment of the what was it? He's a corporate he was like a big guy in Raytheon.
Oh, the Raytheon security. Yeah.
Lloyd
Austin.
God, I forget his name.
Lloyd Austin. Yeah.
Lloyd Austin, exactly. And he and nobody's even talking about that. The guy still was on the board of Raytheon just yesterday, and
we covered it.
That's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. What are you doing here? This is like intersectional fascism. This is what they're putting warmongers of color, so brown people abroad feel okay by getting bombed by more brown people in the United States. I mean, it's gross, right? It's just gross.
Yeah. Well, and I want to say, as a proud Alaskan and daughter of a Vietnam veteran and a gun owner, that being armed and having guns is not equaling violence. And I'm seeing bills being passed in Washington state that if you have brass knuckles, you can be arrested on a felony charge if you're on the Capitol steps.
But they didn't arrest it. No, okay, I'm not even going to go there.
Let's divulge a little else into this weekend where we've got another hit and run by a police officer that happens to be his second hit and run.
Yeah, we're going to cover that tomorrow morning on the panel dive. So check it out if you haven't seen the video. It's horrendous.
What is a weapon and what is not? Let's get real here.
No. That's a lack of training is what you're seeing. He panicked. He didn't know what to do. There was a mob around him, so he just gunned it. And
it's his second one. Bullshit.
Who was the first one?
Exactly
it was an old person?
They get away with it is the problem. They get away with it, but somebody can't be armed.
Yeah.
If they're immediately armed, they immediately must be a Nazi.
Right.
So was the person he ran over the first time, was it an elderly person going through?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
and he's still on the force. They still give him the fucking keys.
It's always.
If that would have been anybody else, I mean, it was a street race event. It was not a protest. It was a street racing event. Anybody else that would have run through a crowd, run somebody over, would already be shot in the back if they lived in Tacoma, Washington right now.
Exactly.
And that's the facts.
Joy, you guys.
Yeah, we'll get riled up about that tomorrow morning on the morning dive. Yeah, Oz and I'll get into it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can
you
take
know how
it.
Amber feels.
I want to thank our guests, Jackson. You want to do a last say here before we go out, and then we'll let Fee finish up. And thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. And, I always appreciate a good conversation with people who are willing to talk about the issues that they don't talk about on CNN or MSNBC. And I think it's a really good time to be having these sorts of conversations because there are people who are trying to sow division within the left, within independent media even. So we need to stay together, stay united, and continue fighting for the things that we care about and have, laser focus and precision in that fight. So I'm glad to have all of you in that fight with me, and everyone in the audience. Thank you for tuning in as well.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hello to all the chats. You guys are all busy.
Yeah,
All the chats are full.
Mona's over there in the Natural Progressive. Mona, we want to get you on the show one of these days. So we're gonna talk, and several people. So Allie, we've asked Allie. She's over there. Alexandra. We just if you want to come over to Roar, and Fee, tell anybody that's interested in starting a show or coming on a show, send them over to Roar. We're looking for women, people of different diversities and color, people of color. Come on over, and we will help you at Roar. We'll put you on Rockfin too, and then when you get huge like Fiorella and Jackson, we'll encourage you to get your own channel over there at Rockfin. Please, everybody, please, if you could go over to Rockfin, sign up through us or the Convo Couch or Jackson, but certainly follow all of us. We're growing up there. We just broke 881, which is a real milestone for our little show, and we really, really appreciate it. So sign up over at the Rockfin through us, Convo Couch, or The Dive with Jackson Hinkle. And Fee, you want to give us some parting words, and then we'll introduce the outgo and go through the credits and let you guys go do more work.
Just thank you very much for having me on. I really love what you guys have to say. You guys are great, and I hope you guys keep growing as well. It's we're a community of independent media. We're not just like here for ourselves, right? So thank you for what you do.
I thank you.
Thanks for coming on, you guys. Appreciate it.
We're going to go out today with this little piece. I picked this one out, so you can blame me, but I think Shanda okayed it. She said it was really good. This is Knocking on Heaven's Door by Beatbox Guitar. And check out the credits. Like I said, support us over on Rockfin, Convo Couch, The Dive with Jackson Hinkle. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Shoot